the brain will continue to evolve. The capabilities of the human mind are impressive, and, like the universe, it continues to amaze astrologers, containing mysteries that scientists are yet to discover. Giant strides have been made in brain study, though. Between the late 1950s and now, various studies on brain parts and their functions have been conducted, each new successful study connecting the dots to previous discoveries. This progress is why we have answers to many questions about the brain, and why books like The Future of the Mind could be written. Sit back as this summary takes you through some remarkable discoveries on how the brain functions and what the future holds. Like supercomputers, all human behaviors are linked to specific brain areas. Damage to the frontal lobe, for instance, can affect a person's personality. This summary will explain the role that neuroscience plays in enhancing the human mind. You'll see how new technology has made it possible to document memories, read minds, and record dreams. This summary also highlights the importance of the brain and how we can make the most of its functions. My fundamental premise about the brain is that its workings, what we sometimes call mind, result from its anatomy and physiology and nothing more. Did you know? The brain has two very similar halves called the left and right hemispheres. Surprisingly, the brain can operate even if one of these hemispheres is missing. Sometimes both struggle for control, affecting the decisions humans make. Consciousness is a key natural ability of the human mind. One of the most significant feats of the evolved human brain is its ability to imagine things that are not happening yet. This ability can be observed physically through brain scans. The part of the human brain in the prefrontal cortex involved with memory, planning, and abstract thinking is called the Brodmann Area 10, BA10. Other mammals cannot think of the future like humans do. They only follow their instincts. But humans do not only plan for the future, they also use instincts and emotions. They do this by creating simulations that occur in the prefrontal cortex. Consciousness is also a mind-blowing ability of the brain. Human consciousness can successfully form a model of the world and then evaluate the past to create the future. The huge amount of sensory and emotional data in the brain helps to simulate the future successfully by making links between events. We have to simulate what we hear mentally. For instance, consciousness comes to play when telling a joke, as there's usually a punchline. In most cases, if the punchline drops too soon, most individuals won't get the joke, or if the simulation is later than usual, they miss it. There are different levels of consciousness in the human brain. Level 1 uses the sensory data in the brain to show a model of the human physical location in space. Level 2 shows the human position in society. In trying to recognize a person or thing, the hippocampus processes memories, the amygdala processes emotions, and the prefrontal cortex puts all this information together. Level 3 involves analyzing memories to project simulations into the future. These simulations are carried out in the prefrontal cortex and may produce good results. At the same time, the simulations may show future undesirable actions, which the brain will try to kick against. Did you know? The brain weighs 3 pounds and occupies 2% of the body's weight, but has an unending appetite. Brain enhancement machines are developing daily to improve the storage of memories. Scientists and brain researchers are gradually moving towards actively deciding what the future of the brain will be. Extensive research enables scientists to develop machines that can increase human mental abilities, including telepathy, mind communication, and telekinesis, moving things with the mind. For instance, the brain-machine interface, BMI, electroencephalogram, and mind-controlled video games are some newly invented brain machines, and many are in the works. Scientists believe that the brain of an intelligent human can be boosted to the genius level using genetics, technology, and drugs. Genetics and drugs can cause memory-altering and intelligence-inducing changes in humans. In the near future, scientists might be able to manipulate memories, thoughts, and human consciousness. It may also be possible to download wanted memories into the human brain and even erase unwanted ones. Currently, the hippocampus is the natural part of the brain that can help store memory for a longer duration by splitting the information or memories into different categories. Human memories are not stored randomly, but systemically. It happens to avoid memory loss. An instance is how the brain keeps passionate memories in the amygdala, shapes and shades in the occipital lobe, and words in the temporal lobe. According to scientists and researchers, the brain stores 20 categories of memories in different parts. The hippocampus of humans and other higher animals is large and complex and helps the body understand the flow of information in the brain. The signals exchanged between the different brain regions are monitored by electrodes in the hippocampus. Did you know? In the movie Total Recall, actor Arnold Schwarzenegger had fake memories placed into his brain, and it took him a while before he could distinguish between reality and fiction. Scientific advancement in recording memories requires the enhancement of the human brain. Science describes the brain as the storeroom for memories. Yes, it's possible. Here's an overview of how it's done. Electrodes are connected to the hippocampus of the subject to pick up signals easily. The subject performs certain tasks while the electrodes record memories of the activity. The saved memory is sent into the hippocampus of another subject through electrodes to see if they can upload that memory. If this three-step process is successful, the scientists would have captured memories they can now further use for research. According to scientists, job opportunities will be available one day for people who can create memories and then transfer them to other people. Saving memories can be beneficial because it may allow us to record and keep our pasts safe. Goodbye, amnesia. Memory saving can also guarantee the learning of new skills. According to scientists, job opportunities will soon be available for people who can create memories and then transfer them to other people. Several scientific researchers believe that enhancing intelligence is one way humans can maximize the new inventions in memory creation and storage. And as you're probably aware, intelligence can be linked with the creation of geniuses. Geniuses are people that have an increased level of intelligence, a level higher than that of ordinary humans. These people are born with greater mental abilities and a special determination to achieve great things. Not all of us will be geniuses in that sense of the word, but we can all develop our mental capacities every day. It's possible to develop genius traits, and one way to achieve this is through technology. A second way is by constantly learning. The neural connections in the brain change without adding more brain cells every time a new task is learned. The other thing you can do to develop your genius is altering your brain and genes using science, stem cells, and genetics. However, people who undergo brain alterations to become geniuses still need regular exercise and minimal stress levels to help boost the survival rate of new hippocampal cells. If you want to be on the safer side, it's best to increase intelligence by maximizing the natural capacity of your brain instead of undergoing brain alterations. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. The human mind can be controlled and human consciousness altered. Aside from increasing intelligence, scientists have sought several ways to control the human mind. Some examples of these mind control projects include the invention and usage of truth serum on prisoners to enable them to confess secrets, using hypnosis and drugs to control behavior, changing people's personalities through drugs to make them more approachable. Drugs such as sodium pentothal, a kind of alcohol, reduce the activity in the prefrontal cortex so that a person becomes more relaxed and holds nothing back. This is why alcohol so profoundly affects human consciousness. There are certain medical conditions associated with altered consciousness. For example, scientists refer to a condition involving a temporary state of altered consciousness as temporal lobe epilepsy. This condition has seizures and hyper-religiosity as its symptoms. These episodes are often treated in a hospital. Hyper-religiosity, another altered consciousness condition, is a state where an individual often thinks there's a spirit or spiritual presence behind everything. It cannot be treated. Some scientists, however, conclude that God allowed hyper-religiosity in humans so that we can always feel His presence.
Other temporary states of altered consciousness that can be corrected through drugs include hallucinations, obsessive-compulsive disorders, and bipolar disorders. Some humans can experience difficult states of altered consciousness through mental health conditions such as schizophrenia. This state brings a lot of pain and sadness to the victim and loved ones. Schizophrenia affects about 1 in 1,000 people globally. Diagnosing mental illnesses so far has been unachievable. However, scientists believe that one day they will be able to use brain scans and other devices to diagnose them accurately. Did you know, 1994 Nobel Prize winner in economics, John Nash, was a genius who became schizophrenic at 31. The activities of artificial intelligence are still limited. Although artificial intelligence has been introduced in the brain technology aspect over the years, and developers have made several inventions and discoveries, there are still problems confronting it. One of these issues is pattern discernment. The brain of the best robots today cannot discern some simple objects. As a result, robots become confused on a busy street because they have problems identifying patterns. Robots also lack common sense and do not think about the world as humans do. They don't understand facts or happenings. The only amazing thing robots can do is simulate the future in various fields, such as playing chess and predicting the weather. For example, an advanced Japanese robot called ASIO could do many things, but their makers confessed that it had the intelligence of a bug. It only had autonomous functions which they had programmed into it. For over 50 years, scientists working in AI have tried to recreate the human brain in computers and robots to no avail. The main difference between the human brain and computers is that if part of a computer is removed from its panel, the system crashes immediately. But the human brain can perform well even if half of it is missing. Another major AI problem is that robots lack consciousness, unlike humans, and consciousness can only be developed through the introduction of emotions. The human brain lacks programming, making it very different from computers. It has no central processor, just billions of active neurons targeted towards achieving a goal. The best option for improvement in the AI field in the future is to mimic the human brain. Create small robots that can learn to walk, grow, and talk naturally, just like humans. Reverse engineering can provide solutions to mental health problems. Reverse engineering the brain could be the way out for complex brain problems, such as bipolar disorders, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, schizophrenia, and dementia. Although scientists are still testing reverse engineering, they would have a chance to create history in medicine if it turns out successful. Reverse engineering involves taking the brain apart. Following the European method, the brain can be split into neurons by simulating it electronically with supercomputers. Researchers can also do reverse engineering by using brain genes to map out neural pathways, neuron by neuron. Physically identifying each neuron and synapse of the brain is another method of identifying the electrical signals flowing across neurons in the brain and the functions they perform. In studying neurons, the main aim of research scientists is often to simulate the neuron to recreate the brain through a collection of transistors. Experimenting with a mouse brain, which is very similar to the human brain, is another way of tracking neurons and identifying the genes responsible for creating the brain. Understanding how genes are expressed will help understand autism, Alzheimer's, and other disabilities. The Allen Human Brain Atlas project, which involved a genetic and complete 3D mapping of the human brain, confirmed that over 80% of human genes are expressed in the brain. With reverse engineering, robots will be able to recognize more easily. This process is critical to scientists, medicine, and the field of artificial intelligence. Reverse engineering will help discover treatments for complex brain diseases and determine how the brain stores long-term memories. In addition, it will assist the research on how consciousness and memories can be stored outside the human body. The brain, just like the universe, is a complex gift to humanity. It can perform a lot of abilities without aid, but scientists feel the need to make improvements in certain areas, Some of them are how we save and retrieve memories, arrange our thoughts, and plan. The idea of enhancing intelligence in humans and improving how we can store memories is proportional to technological advancement. As scientists work tirelessly on improving the human brain, they realize that human intelligence needs to be enhanced to catch up with the rapidly evolving future. Brain boost, uploading memories, telepathy, and telekinesis can enhance human intelligence and mental capabilities. It also involves modifying and improving consciousness. Without a doubt, artificial mental boost has its advantages. They include creating a greater ability to simulate the future one desires, an increased rate of scientific discoveries, recording memories and keeping them outside the human brain. But it also has disadvantages, especially the chances that the crime rate will increase with a boost to the brain and mind activities. Ultimately, understanding how the mind works gives a hint into the lives of people who live with dementia, ALS, Alzheimer's, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and post-traumatic stress disorder. It's easy to imagine that in the future, telepathy and telekinesis will be the norm. We will interact with machines by sheer thought. Our minds will be able to turn on the lights, activate the internet, dictate letters, play video games, communicate with friends, call for a car, purchase merchandise, all just by thinking. Try this. Use the brain's visualization powers to cast visions of your desired future, then work towards making those visions your reality. Apply the same thing to anything you want to accomplish. For example, if you are going to learn a complex skill, you must